right, welcome to Fight Network Studios. This is my friend Elias. I think I'm going to call this the Black Eye Podcast because we have a podcast room and we've been doing lots of podcasts and it's super fun, and I'm a workaholic and I wanted to talk to people on TV all the time. And I thought if I was going to do the first Black Eye Podcast, I'd like my friend Elias to be on it.
That means so much to me, brother.
Yeah.
Fucking
cheers. And we will go and we will get beer next door at the local after we're done here. We could have had a beer here, but this will give us something to look forward to.
Yeah, options.
And I have you on. One, you fought on the weekend, and two, you're a good friend. And it's been really kind of cool seeing you go from, you were 1-0 when I met you. You're 12-0 undefeated Ultimate Fighter winner who's 3-0 in the UFC now. That's
pretty
cool,
sweet,
right?
eh?
Yeah.
And then it's just the idea that kind of where everything's gone full circle and friends the whole way. And now look at you, man. Everything's so successful over you in the Fight Network, and so far so good.
It's pretty good, yeah. I mean, and not life isn't always that way. For you, it is.
No, I don't know about that. Even I sometimes step in bottles.
Yeah, I mean, true. But you look at it, and there are times you have to stop and go, yeah, life is really good. Like, we got to make sure we're, one, enjoying it, and two, not doing anything that could possibly screw this up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, how do we make sure we don't, like, you can't get, like, herpes or something. You know what I mean? That would
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
No, but in that regards, it's just the idea that I like to stay blissfully ignorant of all the success because it all is determined by hard work, and if you become comfortable, you just kind of want to stay there. But I think both you and I are the kind of person that always want more in a certain way, where success breeds more success, and we're just kind of just doing us.
I do a podcast with David Mullins. I was telling you about it, the psychology of combat sports, and mentality of combat sports. Sorry, and it's been fascinating because he's a smart dude, and he's looking at, you know, how to train an athlete, but it applies to almost everything in life. And one of the big ones is that you aren't so much concerned with the giant goal necessarily. It's good to have a giant goal. You're not necessarily concerned with the consequences of something. You're just trying to be better every day. You're trying to be really, really good every day. Trying to be the best that you can be in every minute of your life and wherever you can. Like I said, that's not always going to be the case. A year from now, I could be screwing everything up. Who knows? But you try to keep track of that. You try to focus that way, right?
No, I understand that. Yeah, I guess the idea that I would relate that to then is like the idea of baby steps. It's all the baby steps to the greater picture, and you can't go from here to there. You gotta get the 100 steps in between.
A couple things. You might be doing, or it looks like you're going to do a television project. Can you talk about that, or not specifically?
No, nothing at all. It's just a couple projects, different TV shows. Like I dabble in acting, I dabble in stunt work, and just my stupid face will be on many other things. And the next big thing that I want to do, or next thing I want to kind of do is go back and actually help some of the boys at in TriStar getting ready for their fights.
Cool.
Because it's not only about me, right? And I'm a bit of a global trotter or whatever, and I get to train with all of the best gyms in the world, and I'm looking forward to all the next gyms. But
Rory, for example?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So going back with them, or even 186. So in Montreal, they're having the camp or the fight coming up soon, and I want to be part of the team because it's not only about me, and even though I'm going from different place, it's just kind of the idea that I got to give back, and I'm not going to forget all the gyms that I've trained at because I'm, I guess, part of the team.
We'll talk about the fight you just had. It was awesome. It went really well. And when you're a friend, a family member, whatever you're watching, I analyze fights for a living, but you and I have been really close over the last few years, and we're a family. And so you watch it very differently. But I enjoyed it. It was great. We'll talk about that in a second. But when I look at what you're doing, you go in fully prepared in every single way. And when I look at, I've never for a moment ever thought, oh man, I hope he wins. I'm like, that guy's going to win. That guy's going to win for sure. And the one time recently, in the last few days after you won, that I was talking to people that you work with, coaches and stuff, and I was like, if at some point you take a break to do a different project, which is something you could do, you might take 6 or 8 weeks off. After that, the only time I would ever have a worry and go, is he ready, would be if you rushed too long after you took an extended break. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you are in better shape than everybody you fight. And that is powerful. It's a lot of that is mental too. But when you take that walk down, I'm sure you're thinking about all the work you did. You're thinking about how hard you worked. You're thinking about how that this is all going to happen because you did everything right. That's why it works. If you ever remove doing everything right, we're now removing the one piece. You'll probably win anyways. You know what I mean? You'll probably win anyways. But you want to go in there knowing that you have, when you started 8 weeks, you were in unbelievable shape. And so like I said, if you took a break, I told them, make sure this guy gets himself into the shape that he's in at 8 weeks always before he does 8 weeks.
I understand. I understand completely. And the way I always relate it to just being simple is the idea that it's a test, right? And if I do all the homework and all the work beforehand, I'm going to pass with flying colors. And that's what I've done in 12 now professional bouts. I walk in there confident because of all the work I put into it. And that confidence allows me to go in there with honestly, the mental aspect completely in check. Where the only time I ever really get nervous in a fight is just basically, I don't know, if I'm in the 5th person on the card and the 3rd guy's going up, which means technically what's called only it's an hour long, right? And then there's a little bit of panic there when I realize, oh my God, I'm soon. And then I kind of just put it in perspective that if I'm fighting 45 minutes, in an hour it's over. So win, lose, or draw, life moves on. And although I'm at this point where I've never lost, and when I do lose, it's going to be devastating. I know that. But I'm trying to postpone it as long as possible. And I want to do it so that even though people lose in my sport, and people lose in athletics in general, and lose in life, right? So it happens. And you're only really as strong as you can be if you learn from it. It's not really a mistake. It's a learning lesson, right? So I don't know, I'm just taking every single one at a time. And that's why when after the fight, everyone just asks you, well, what's next? What's next? What's this? What's that? It's kind of like, again, those baby steps, like you said. I want a week or 2 off and do absolutely nothing. Maybe run because I don't want to get too fat. But what's it called? Nothing of martial arts aspect, maybe, or
10 days, maybe.
10 days, kind of thing. Honestly, some guys I know that are going to be getting ready for fights or that are in the gym that might be fighting soon. It's not only about me, right? So I gotta kind of get in and suck it up. And I might want a week, but I might only get. I might want 10 days, but I might only get a week. You know what I mean? So either way, I love martial arts. So and there's no real off season in my sport, right? It's not like you lose like the Leafs, they're going to be playing golf for the next summer or whatever like that. It's no, active fighting.
The best guys, the best young guys, the hungry guys that have something to prove, they have off-season training the whole summer. The older guys are the guys that, well, I'm in my 6th year. I got a pretty good. My wife's a supermodel. You know, I got my 5th car and all that. Those are the guys who start to go off, and when that happens, that's when the young monsters come up and they start taking over them. You know, and that's the game. That was literally that conversation I was having. When you do everything you've been doing, you're going to win. You know, you're going to win, and it's a nice position to be in. But like you said, we're all going to lose at some point. So we can talk about whatever we want today. That's the beauty of hanging out. So do some people hate you?
Well, love you or hate you, they're still watching you in many regards. So like,
but you get like dudes on Twitter. It's like you're like, for some reason, gay is like an insult. Like, like I got family members that are gay. I got close friends that are gay. Like gay is not an insult to me at all. But that'll be one that it just shows their
ignorance in anything and their lack of ability to construct something. And the same word is my cling to is the word fuck. I say that all the time. But what's it called? But anyways, rather than what I'm trying to say is just the idea that one, my mom loves me, so that's half the battle.
Your mom's cool.
Yes, shit, brother. And she's a saint for anyone listening, watching.
Beautiful too, and I mean that in like a friendly family kind of way. Yes. She's a nice looking lady.
Saint. You know? I'm not even sure she's even had sex. So, anyways,
you and your brother, right? There's 2 of you.
Yes, but they
look somewhat like her.
Immaculate conception. We're somewhat 3 years apart, and our guys are twins.
I mean, I know your dad too. Good dude, but I wouldn't let that animal touch me.
He's like a shaved grizzly bear. Actually, no, funny story. So after the fight or whatever like that, I wanted to do like one of those because I'm in Texas, right? So I'm going to do one of those steak challenges, right? So we go to this like 5-star restaurant. I get a 32-ounce steak. Me and my dad both do it. Everyone just didn't want to do it. That's 2 pounds of steak, right? So I'm like, let's see who can do it quick. I'm just like going through it, changing my palate. I got to dunk it in this sort of. My dad's quiet with his medium well, just sawing it off, got it to the bone in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He ate 2 pounds of steak in 10 minutes. Didn't even say a peep. He's just a savage. Shaved grizzly bear. That's all it all comes back to.
You know, I look at fighting. I look at a million different aspects of it. I look at a million different angles. It's my passion. It's what I love doing. I love the martial arts for myself. I love looking at it. I'm obsessed with it. Maybe there's something a little off. I'm not sure. But I make a living with the off, so it's good. But when you look at it, when you look at it, and you look at your parents, genetics play a gigantic role in any kind of success in your life. And we don't all have, genetically outstanding parents, and your parents are their genetic material is very good. They're good looking, they're tall, they're physical. Your brother's even bigger and better shape than you are.
People don't realize it. Like my whole shtick is like I'm the prettiest guy or the best hair in MMA or whatever. I'm the fat ugly one. Did people remember that 80s movie? What's it called? Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm Danny DeVito. I'm Danny DeVito in this situation. And the guy, he's 23. He looks like he literally.
He's making money. He's charming. He's good looking.
It's ridiculous.
He took like 8 kickboxing classes, but he could spar. Like
he could smash 80% of the humans. You could smash like 80% of the population of the world.
Exactly.
By going to like 8 classes.
Yeah, exactly.
He just knows how to go straight, and he just goes through you.
And that is your mentality too. You know. But so genetically, you have advantages, and to some degree, and environmentally, your parents are together. They're cool. They're nurturing. They made you guys believe you could do whatever you want. Not everybody has that. You know what I mean? Are you able to, when you see somebody either overcome something or in a really have a whole myriad of different world of challenges, you can rationalize how fortunate you are, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I would be the first to say that I come from a great background in regards to my family, the support. Lachlan, my coach, he'll argue that they
he's
gave me too much.
genetically not better than everybody else.
No, but he's a sweetie. What's it called? But the thing is,
he's brilliant. He's
a genius.
Yeah,
a genius. I call him Wizard now. He's my wizard.
Yeah.
When everyone's just like, "How did you cut that much weight?" I'm just like, "My wizard."
Yeah.
And then that's kind of my way because he doesn't like being like he doesn't like me saying Lachlan Chang. He doesn't want anyone to know his name. He wants to be
doesn't want to be photographed in his cave.
Yeah, but no, what I was going to get to, he basically says that my parents gave me too much positive reinforcement, both me and my brother. Yeah. But even with that, there's other people that are very fortunate and they don't use it. I used it to basically take a gamble and do mixed martial arts because it isn't, when you want to tell you're both successful parents that you want to be professional puncher and kicker. There's some reservations, and it wasn't until that I showed them with both my hard work, my dedication, and just my risk, and now all the stuff that pays off. And like in the beginning, it was like the other side things that I was doing. You know what I mean? Like being in a TV show, being on a game show, being on a couple of romance novels. That's things that they can. That's tangible things that they can.
My son's on a romance novel.
Yeah, exactly. My mom was not allowed to read any of those smut novels, but it's
you don't want none of that near your saint of a mother.
No.
But
Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.
When you think of that too, it's your responsibility to do something with that. Like when you look in a world full of people who don't have two good parents, they don't have all it's your job to do something with it because people do things with much less. So you need to go out and realize that. And so you and your brother have done that, and that's great because you guys could have been total fuck-ups. Easy. Easy.
And you know what the interesting thing is? My brother actually, for those who don't know, is the idea that my coach at the time, before when I first met you or whatever like that first fight, he couldn't come. He had a 9 to 5, and it just didn't work out. So my parents sent my brother with me, who knows even less about martial arts than I do, on my maybe 3rd year of actually doing it. But I wanted to go pro because I had this blueprint. By 25, I need to start making money and blah 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 blah. And so I go down to Calgary to take on the local hero down there, and he had 10 amateur fights in the States, which are essentially unpaid pros, and he's a 1-0, so this is basically his 11th fight, or whatever the case. I can't remember the number, but this is my first one. And I go down there with a brother who knows even less about martial arts than me, and his advice is yelling from the raft, "Get up, kill him, punch him, now your turn." You know what I mean? And what I argue with that kind of showed my brother, who was at a very pivotal role in himself, is the idea that going out and doing something, going out and doing it, where I knew that I couldn't, when I had the tenacity to become a professional fighter at 3 years of martial arts, when no one in Ontario would give me an opportunity because it just became legal.
Yeah.
So all the guys that have been there forever had it was their turn, right? Because they've been waiting. And I knew I had to go and get it because I didn't want to sit there with it. Like sit there on my with my hands on my lap and wait for something to happen. Yeah. So I got to go out and do it. So then my brother noticed that, or I think subconsciously saw that. And the other thing is we both feed off each other as best friends and almost a little bit of competition. The idea is no one wants to be the loser boy brother.
Because you're already the ugly one. So
I can't be the fat, ugly one and the loser.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. It's like when people see things sometimes, they look at things that seem really hard. It's like, so what do you want to do? Well, I want to be a pro fighter. Okay, cool. So what do you got to do? Well, I got to get some fights. Okay. Well, that's what you got to do then. Yeah. Like the amount of guys who their idea of getting fights is like, bug the guy they saw on television. People email me, hey man, how do I get fights? I don't know you. I mean, you have to go out and convince somebody somewhere to give you this fight. And the way you did it, the key thing that you did, what mattered in that fight was that you were willing to fight the badass. Yeah. You were willing to go and fight the local. We need a guy to fight the local killer. Yeah. Oh, we got some guy out in Ontario who emailed me and said he'll fight the local killer. That was the key thing. Because then guys will say, well, I need fights. Cool. We got to fight against the local killer. Oh, no, I need a couple tomato cans first. I literally, when I was managing fighters, people don't obviously know everything about us because sometimes they watch me on television, sometimes they see you fight. But I used to manage fighters, and I managed Elias right through up to that point until analyzing fighting was so time-consuming, I was worried I would underperform for him and the other guys, and I just didn't want to do that. But so guys would email me and say, hey, man, I need a fight. And I'd be like, oh, well, I didn't know them yet, but I'd say, well, there's this thing going. One guy literally said to me when I offered him a fight, a 2-0 guy or whatever, he's like, oh, man, I just need like a couple of tomato, and I think it was on the phone. I just need a couple of tomato cans to pad my record, so I get my Sherdog up to 3-0 or 4-0. It's like, why the fuck would I spend my time? Yeah, everybody would like to do that.
Exactly, yeah. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. Like everyone on earth, if, I'd like to play in a rock band. Okay, well, this is what you're going to need to do. Learn to play guitar, assemble a bunch of other people that can do it.
No, I just want to sing. I just want to sing, or whatever the easy way out.
I want to sing. Well, you got to learn to sing, assemble a bunch of people that would believe in you, create some songs, find a way to book it. You can't just sit around going, so what do you do? Well, I'm a drummer. Or the guy who's selling you a pool for, for your kids. You go and he's like, it's not actually what I do. I play keyboards. Yeah, exactly. From The Simpsons, right? You have to go out and you have
I like to get blotto.
He smells like Otto's jacket. Exactly. But you have to do shit. You have to, and it's like, but the more you do shit, and the more it takes 100 hours to accomplish one thing. Yeah. But once you've accomplished one thing, at least you know it's possible. Yeah. And now it might only take you 60 hours to do the next thing. It's slowly over time, over your life, you create a habit of chasing things you want to do and finding answers. And you know what? The first thing that's going to happen? It's going to be a roadblock. Oh, I want to fight. Oh, shit, I don't have any fights. Well, your options now are either quit forever, or find a way around that roadblock. You can go around it. You can climb over it. You can dig a tunnel under it, or you can smash right through it. But you have to find a way around that thing. That's life.
Whatever, yeah.
That's life.
No, agreed. And it translates to obviously other things than fighting or whatnot. And I don't know. I just been kind of the person that can't just not try. And I think trying is always the hardest and the first step, right? And they're usually intertwined.
Yeah, for sure. So next door, there is a restaurant. It's called The Local. Yes. And I'm mentioning their names maybe in hope that they'll give us free beers, but I'm pretty sure that they won't.
Free stuff gives us the best. Free stuff's the best stuff.
So we're going to go in there, and when we walk in, we're going to order a drink, and all the waitresses are going to forget that I exist. They are. They're going to. You didn't even try. This is the same shit you were wearing yesterday. You're wearing a toque, just pulled down. But it's perfect.
Yes.
And that jacket, that's actually a pretty nice jacket. But so everywhere you go, everybody else looks ugly, except for when you're with your brother, and you look ugly. So now you know how we feel.
Well, yes, exactly. No, but when I go there, I'm just more excited, honestly, to just catch up with you as a friend or whatever.
Yeah, screw and you, waitresses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels right.
Yeah. It does actually feel pretty right. Isn't that weird, though, that that you're a fag, you're gay, that's somehow the insult of the dumb.
Well, because as that Macklemore song, it's equated with the lesser or whatever. That's what it means. It's just their inability to actually form a constructive criticism or constructive thought process. So honestly, there's a bunch of weird things I'm kind of starting to get used to. The idea of someone knowing who I am without me knowing them. Because I can't remember. It's Erg's law or whatever like that. It's just the idea you can't actually remember more than 200 faces.
Yeah, right.
With faces with names.
Right.
And basically when people come in and out, like it's basically the top 200.
Yeah.
And then
so people will briefly go, it's great to see you. They'll be serving you something in Edmonton, or they took care of you for 20 minutes, but you've seen 900 new people.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be impossible for you to go, hey, Tracy, it's great to see you again.
Yeah.
You'd love to.
Yeah.
And she probably was really cool.
Yeah.
But it actually may be biologically impossible.
Not impossible.
And that is really hard because some of those people go, what an asshole. That guy, he thinks he's too big, he doesn't even know. But it's actually biologically you can't do it.
No, I'm good with faces. I'm horrible with names. In the idea that like there's been moments where like some girl I worked with at a bartending job for 4 months in a summer 4 years ago. She got offended when she was.
Did you sleep with her?
No. What's it called? That was probably the other reason why I offended her.
She's so mad right now. She's like, you did.
No, I'm almost positive I didn't.
Yeah.
But no, her boyfriend was at the thing too, and basically a wedding or whatever like that. And I was like, oh, we basically had a couple drinks and we were having a great time. And I was like, it's honestly been a blast meeting you, Emily. And he's like, well, we know each other. And I was just like,
that's tough.
And then like the occasional face.
Did they seem to feel like that they understood that you felt awkward about it?
Yeah, no, but again, part of it is the idea that what one person tells their friends. Oh, I'm friends with Elias Theodorou, or I'm friends with Bob Saget, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Where it's just the idea that the actual meeting is a certain amount of someone's life, and rather than the meeting.
And it is one of the 900 people that gave you a hug that month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is strange.
But hugs make the world go round. So anyone wants to give me a hug, they're more than welcome, and I will. Looking right at you.
Yeah. Sarge, our editor, is
he's right in
now.
on it. He's in on that. But no, the part what I was saying is like, along with the people, like the faces and just the new things, I'm kind of getting interested, like being a part of, like the idea of someone knowing who I am and I'm not knowing who they are, or just the recognition and also the hate that comes from it. But I take it with a grain of salt because it's the idea that, honestly, like I said in the beginning, whether they love you or hate you, as long as they're looking at you, that's all that matters.
Your
you know what I mean?
job is to draw. I mean, we're living in a world where
eyeballs.
In all of human history, every single song that's ever been written can be listened to right this minute. There's hundreds, I don't know if you realize this, but there's pornography on the internet. Hundreds of billions of images of pornography could be viewed right now. At the best television in human history. The best television in human history is being made right now. You can watch any of it in entire seasons. NASCAR, baseball, football, hockey, everything is going on. And in your little world, your job somehow, and it's a strange thing when we think about it, but our job becomes to be able to find people to consume what we make. That is really weird when you think about it. It's really strange. You're going to go fight. You're going to talk about fighting. You're going to do something around it. When you fight, we want to pay attention because people who like fighting will find that fascinating. You're an interesting individual, both in the way that you fight and the way that you interpret fighting and the way that you express yourself confidently. All of that is interesting. But then part of your job is to find people to tune into that.
Eyeballs.
And that's a weird job. My job's the same thing. I'm going to talk. My job is to take what you just did and find ways to take people who are really interested in it and excite them even more. Look at this. This is why this happened. This is how it happened.
And people that used to look over here, now they want them to look at you. So
it's such a weird society that we're living in.
Currency is. Because then what that eventually does is then there's the basically the marketing aspect where they watch your TV show and they also watch other TV shows where they have commercials and then there's what's
and money is made.
And that's where money is made.
It's such a strange thing though because personally I now, after 10 years of working at it, I feel like I have a perspective or an analysis or some observations that I think some people are interested in. It's been proven to me now. When I talk about fighting, some people find it interesting. And that fucking blows my mind. It boggles people when people stop me on the street and go, "Dude, I love your breakdowns." Like it really freaks me out, but because it's so cool.
Yeah.
But if you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, and I was a talking head on TV, and go, "Coming up this weekend, you know, we've got Rampage Jackson versus," I don't know why you would have watched that. I don't know why you would stop of the hundreds of thousands of idiots standing around telling you Anthony Pettis is going to fight Rafael dos Anjos. Why would you care what I think?
Yeah.
But I've tried to express myself in a way that some people are like, I want to hear from this guy.
Yep.
You know, and it's the same thing with fighting. There are 480 UFC fighters.
A lot.
You need the people to want to watch you fight. That's the job.
Even though it's a sport, it's an entertainment. It's not only how good you are, it's how many people want to come see you. And both transitions that I find that we both are finding ourselves in what's called the apprentice to master stage.
Right.
So it's like the 10,000 hours. So at this point, like I could view that on my own life, where coming from my first coach to my second coach, that's breaking from the apprentice, breaking from the master to find the new master. And like the same thing in regards to anything that anyone does. It's the 10,000 hours, and it doesn't always mean that means 10,000 days, because I think my basically being only training martial arts for 6 years now, actually it's just coming up on 6 years, and having 3.5 of those now professional, and just going for it. And I've gotten those 10,000 hours, 10 years in 5 years because of the amount of times I'm doing it.
Because of the density of how you've got those hours.
I'm doing 2 a days, 2 hours at a time, so 4 hours. So 4 hours.
Different
and then
areas
whatever.
of blank slate that are being filled up quicker. Yeah.
Exactly. What
It's
works, what doesn't.
yeah.
I come back to this, and then I got to build up my weaknesses to my strengths, and what yada yada yada. But it's just it's just hours put into it, and that's kind of what I think we're both doing in regards to our careers.
It's what you have to do, and you can only really do it if you love it. Like you have to find yourself, you have to find the way to get to the thing that you really want to do, or else you can't do it. I don't do 60, 70, 80 hours a week here. I've done 7 days a week, every week since we got the UFC, except for I went to Mexico for 5 days, and I drank tequila on the beach. It was so good. I got my brain back. But you know what's interesting, too, that I like, the way that you have looked at things, and I think you get this, is you're going to go, and for us as a genius, when you'll see him, you'll absorb some information. You're traveling around to different places. But you've got people that will grow with you. So Lachlan, we mentioned, Lachlan could care less if anyone talks about him, by the way. He's a great, brilliant coach, brilliant jiu-jitsu mind, grappling mind, but big picture too. But he doesn't care if we're talking about him. And I'm sure you try to mention him in interviews at times, and he's like, one, I don't care. And two, it's not sexy. He's not going to go on TV. He's like some weirdo in a labs, you know. He's Canadian, so he might smoke marijuana. I'm not 100% sure. A lot of Canadians do. And he's just going to go. And what's important is, as you are building your thing, he's building his
craft.
And Evan Boris, you work with now who came from under Henry Hooft. Evan's the same way. I get together with Evan. I told him to meet us for a beer after. I don't know if he will.
Cool.
But I get together with him. He's one of my very close friends. He was in my wedding party. We hang out. I want to watch fights with him all the time. But he worked under Henry. But Henry is his master, no question about it. But he's also wanting to expand all of his knowledge and keep getting better. He's obsessed with it. And I like getting together with him because we've been friends forever. But we'll just sit there, and I don't, now that I'm, tens of thousands of hours of analysis deep, I don't have anybody who doesn't think I'm speaking Spanish half the time when I sit down and I talk really excitedly about what I'm working on. And he speaks Spanish. Metaphorically speaking. Neither of us speak Spanish. But we're speaking the language to each other. We don't have to explain when we're going to say something about,
and you're
stripping
both seeing
feet,
the same thing.
and while a guy is coming into an open guard and stripping feet coming in chest first, we don't have to explain why that is and how that is. We can just talk about the thing. And you need people like that. But so you've had coaches that are not necessarily, what I was going to say was not necessarily the big, known, famous coaches, but those are the guys who are going to be the next big deal coaches. You know what I mean?
And again, and it also has to do with they're at the point where, like, all the famous coaches get famous because of a famous individual
athlete
that they're
or
teaching, like who they're teaching, right, and who's under them. So it's just a case where, although Lachlan might shy from it, the more I keep winning,
that's cool.
The more people are.
I think in its own way it'll be cool.
Yeah, no, it
anyways.
is. Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing, like one thing I was planning, we've always joked about is with Lachlan, he's of Asian descent and he doesn't want to be on TV. So one of the shticks that I'm gonna eventually, one project that I can kind of go into is the idea that potential of like a TV show revolving around my life and past stuff or whatever like that. So he doesn't want to be on it at all, but they want him. So one of the running gags is we're going to get a different Asian guy every single time being him. So
that's funny. That's funny. That's really good. Yeah,
but that's the plan for the
and tall, like 6 foot tall,
and then
sumo
like wrestler, and then
a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be some good times.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. But the other thing is, have you seen Whiplash? Have you seen the movie Whiplash? I talked about it with my friend David on our
a documentary? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, but it's filmed sort of like one. Essentially, in it, somebody who's driven to create greatness meets people who want to be great. But it shows the underbelly, some of the dark side of being so driven that your family, you turn your back on your family, you ruin relationships. In this case, it's not that, but some people become alcoholics or drug addicts or gambling addicts or whatever because of this unsatiable.
Or great
you get it all in Vegas.
One weekend.
All one weekend in Vegas. But the wheels fall off for a lot of people. But the right, brilliant coaches actually need access to real clay, real talent, because there truly are brilliant coaches somewhere who've just never had real talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it all has to come together to work.
No, definitely. And the other great thing with Lachlan is the idea that he's on the same wavelength as me in the sense that we both want to travel the world. We don't believe he's growing as a coach and I'm growing as a student, and he knows that he needs to expose me to different things. And no gym, no coach, no fighter has a monopoly on talent. Just opportunity, facility, whatever the case may be, knowledge. You know what I mean? Like I just want to be. I'm at the point in my career where I'm far enough away from the top that people would open their door to me because you know what I mean. Like the next couple fights, next year or two, I can just kind of go to maybe Greg Jackson's or go to. Lachlan wants to go and see Matt Hume.
Matt Hume
loves Matt Hume. You know what I mean? So like that's one of the things that he wants to do. So like, and I'm all up for that. And I want to go back to different. I want to go to other places that are kind of outside of MMA in regards to I want to go to not Thailand, Amsterdam and train with some like kickboxing killers. Like there's a great
Canadians
team
love Amsterdam. I don't know what it is.
And I don't know what you're talking about either.
Matt Hume's brilliant. I did a breakdown on Matt Hume from like I think it was the 90s. It was the 90s, and I commentate old Pancrase, me and Rampeen. So we've done. Many dozens, between 50 and 100 old Pancrase, and it's really cool, and it's like a history lesson. So for me, I'm starting to understand where the roots of, so guys do this, this is when they started to doing that, these wrestlers brought in this concept, they tried this and it didn't work, like an old Pancrase, the amount of guys who hold the shoulder and try to like forearm choke guys, I'm not sure if it's supposed to make them uncomfortable or if it's supposed to make them overreact or they actually think they're choking, but I can go back and watch 200 fights where that happens and it doesn't work. And eventually guys are just like, doesn't work anymore. But Matt Hume, in one of his fights, I swear to God, it is like watching old footage of the Old West and like a DeLorean goes by and you're like,
hilarious.
The technology didn't exist. Like some of what he was doing with wrestling leg rides, like where you ride on the back with and control with your legs, your hips, one arm and free one. The logic behind if I can control you with everything but one hand, I'll just smash you with this hand. Like this is such logic, right? But he found, exactly. What? Wait a second. If this thing is free, I can hit you with it? But it was the way that he used certain aspects like a hip ride, leg ride kind of thing that I'd never seen and I didn't see for years after. Guys, now Chris Weidman was teaching this at a seminar 2 or 3 years ago and everybody in the room was like, whoa, cool, he's doing these crazy rides. This thing was like in the 90s. Matt Hume's brilliant. And Demetrius Johnson doesn't really have much for training partners. Matt Hume's his main training partner. He's like, well, Matt can beat me up. I'm the world champion, and Matt can beat me up in every position every day. So he's my main training partner. So that'll be great. I hope you get to go there.
That's cool.
And I'm dying to hear everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your last fight and anything else that comes to mind that's fun, and then let's go drink some beer.
Yeah, I'm down.
So it is, at the time that we're taping this, it's late the week after your fight.
Yeah.
And you feel good?
I feel great. Bumps and bruises or whatever like that, but that's what you get when you kick someone a lot, right? So my one foot, my right foot, a little swollen, but I'm already walking on it, and there's nothing broken or whatever like that. I got it checked out.
That's good.
And should be doing jumping jacks shirtless in a couple of weeks.
Nice. What's the worst injury? So you've won all your fights, but I've won fights and just been physically devastated. You know, have you ever had one? You walked out of it and you're like, "Wow, my blank is just killing me. My hip, my eye, my anything." Or have you been able to do without that?
The worst injury I've ever had was after my 7th fight for the ECC, winning the belt against their Mike Kent, who was their local guy.
Yeah. Which is short. It was a short fight.
A minute and 50 seconds. Didn't have a scratch on me. And then I went to the dance floor at the after party, slipped, fell, and broke my thumb. And I broke it for 2 months.
Awesome.
So the worst injuries I've ever had are always outside. Just before I went to the Tough, it was right after Thanksgiving was when we were filming it. And I went to my parents' place, and I pulled out basically leftovers. They had stuffing, and the Tupperware just kind of just fell off. It was a ceramic one. It just fell on my foot. 6 stitches 3 days before I went into Tough. So I'm a klutz is what I'm trying to say.
Life is dangerous.
Yes.
That's
why all the scissors in my house are very dull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rounded tips.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I stay with safety scissors. Everything has a safety lock.
Yeah.
You know, safety first. That's why I'm wearing a condom right now.
Yeah. Good. Well, you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that. Yeah. I'm back again with the gay humor. Gay humor is an interesting one too. In lots of gyms, gay humor is a standard.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. Everybody wants to make fun of you. And when they try, it's something like that. But gay humor is a staple in it.
Oh, yeah. We're a bunch of, what's a couple dicks between friends is what I'm going to say. No, it's just, I saw my face as soon as I said that. I could barely finish
I will just take a gif of that.
And then I just, this right. Yes, there are a lot. Yes, you can Photoshop something. Yeah. This is practically something Photoshop.
Photoshop will be said this thing.
Well, this right here.
Yeah, basically.
It's a good time, I guess.
So the fight was coming up. The fight was coming up, and you were heavier than you were going into it ever before, you said.
Yeah, no, I showed up in Dallas on Sunday because in America, they don't, or Texas, because it's America, this is the universe, center of the universe, they didn't accept Canadian or foreign medicals, and Canada was included. So I had to go in and get a couple of things done. So I had to get the eye test, whatever. Anyways, so I go on Sunday, and I showed up at 205. 205 is what I showed up.
On the Sunday before the Friday weigh-ins.
Yeah, which is it's 19 pounds. Yeah. And basically I've been chipping away. At that point, I've already lost 15 pounds.
Yeah, right.
So so in total.
So it's a carb-depleted 19 pounds.
Yeah, so I'm
already
like, yes, I have no carbs. I'm all green beans and vegetables, right? So I'm there, and then that's when we have the regimen of I have to earn every single meal, but I'm down. Lachlan, again, my wizard, has got me down to 1,400 calories a day. Yeah. And what's kind of my fuel is I'm having 2 energy drinks throughout that to kind of start my actual cardio component. So I'm going to go run on the tread for 45 minutes. I drink an energy drink.
Plus, you love energy drinks.
Oh, yes, I live off of them. I live off of energy drinks and compliments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. You have great hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm hiding it right now. But no, so basically chipping away at it. The day of the weigh-ins, I woke up at 194, and that's me really working on it. And then I cut 10 pounds, roughly.
Which most guys who are overly dehydrated can cut 10 pounds.
But I did it totally right in the sense that it didn't affect me, and it was somewhat of intermittent fasting. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's just basically the idea of fasting for a certain intermittent time. Yeah. And basically, when you do that, it's nothing but water really through my veins, and it honestly, like metaphorically speaking or whatever, and it just, I feel so clean is the way I feel. And then after weigh-ins, I do the essential sugars, and then eventually get my just food and myself hydrated and just stuff in there. And I got up to 217 in the cage, which is 32 pounds in 24 hours. Yeah. So like I said, my wizard, Lachlan, even though he doesn't want me to say his name or doesn't relish that
I mean, we can say
I just like teasing him. I just love saying
he who shall not be named.
Yes, he who shall not be named. My wizard.
He's he's genius. He's a good dude.
Yeah. So I'm basically his guinea pig, and I went in as big as possible. I was 10, 12 pounds heavier than my opponent. Yeah.
And your opponent probably was 215, 217 for that one light heavyweight fight that he had. And that would have been not really focusing on any kind of weight loss. So he would have been down in the sort of 200 range. It's still a big cat.
Yeah.
He's still a big cat. And you're walking down. It's the days before, the morning of, and the walk down. This is the best guy you've ever fought.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of the last few
ones
have
is
been.
the same thing.
And what was the process? What were you thinking? Did you have any pressure on yourself? Did you want to finish? Did you have anything specific?
I definitely wanted to finish, just in the sense that I really like fighting southpaws, and I kind of get it. Like it makes sense to me, especially in the sense that he's a black belt in Taekwondo. He was a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, so he's dangerous on the ground, and he threw a lot of kicks. So it was ironic that I would basically finish him with a bunch of kicks.
Yeah.
But leading up to it, for me, it's all about the psychological aspect. So like I basically was killing him with kindness every time I saw him. I was like, "Hey man, how you doing?"
Did he react well to that, or
no,
did he need to know what?
He's having a bad cut.
Yeah,
so he's miserable in his chair on his phone, and he kind of sees me through the peripheral, and I see him like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Elias, nice to meet you. It's going to be an honor to fight you. And I'm just kind of killing him with kindness, and it's just bugging him. And you can
Which
see
isn't
he's miserable.
always the case. It's going to be different for different guys.
Every person. But with him, even in the weigh-ins, he was putting this false confidence, just fierce and so flexing and just getting all angry. He has to build himself up. For me, the way I look at it, emotion is the worst fuel, the worst fuel for a fighter, in the sense that emotion is a finite resource. So you can only be mad for so long. So he's up there mad and looking silly, and I'm just kind of just dangling my head and just kind of smiling at him. And even Dana White laughed, because he thought at first I was going to like jump in his face. But no, I'm just trying to get behind his stupid big fist that he's just putting up on his hand out there. And then
getting practice slipping it.
Exactly, and that's what I did. And no, in the fight, it was one of those things where we kind of talked about it, where I don't really get nervous until maybe like like if I'm the fifth fight and what's called
second fight ended,
and I know I'm going to be in an hour or so. But it all comes together in the sense that I know that in an hour it's going to be all be over.
You also now know that about yourself. You've known that about yourself for a while. So there's just that familiar feeling again.
Yeah.
I was fighting on a show with Joe Dirksen, and it was fight number 60 for him. And I think it was fight number 6 for me. And it was a guy over at the side, and he's like, "Joe," and he was maybe 1 or 2, and he trained with Joe. He's like, "Joe, like I got tingling. I can't feel my hands. I don't feel like I'm strong." And Joe's like, "It's fight number 60. I have that exact feeling right now, man. Don't worry about it. That is normal. That is absolutely." Because once you know that things are normal, they may still be odd or whatever, but this is the experience I should be having, right? So now you know. The angry kind of posturing kind of thing. Again, it's been fascinating. I have a friend, David Klonsky, who is a professor of psychology at the University of British Columbia. And we do some work together, and I run a lot of different ideas past him. He points me in the direction of things. And we met after I did this Carlos Condit breakdown that he really liked, and we got to be really good friends. I've had him on the show. And then I have David Mullins, who I do the podcast with, who now lives in Toronto. He works with SBG Gym out of Ireland, you know, Cathal Pendred, and he's around Conor McGregor and all those guys. And so he talked about, if my job is to make you react a certain way, so I'm going to Nick Diaz it, and Nick Diaz is doing it for his own benefit, so that's right. Nick Diaz does that because it works for Nick Diaz. But if I'm doing it because I need you to respond, you now have control. I'm relinquishing control to you because I need you to respond a certain way. All you have to do is not respond that way, and you're winning this little contest. You know? And so if I'm trying to be angry and I'm doing all that stuff and you won't give me exactly, you are literally defeating me a little tiny bit mentally now.
It gets you off your game in the sense that it's all mental. And like the other thing I did was my opponent, he's a what's it called? A starch Christian, or like he's a very affluent or
very Christianity.
Religious. He's very religious. So and his thing has God first, and me being a starch atheist, I came out to sympathy to the devil. So it's just like little mind games that I'm kind of playing in the sense that you want to just chip away at someone's armor, and I think that some of them put a false basically frame armor out there, and I'm just chipping it away with me just being me. Honestly, in this cage, going in the cage now for the 3rd time in the UFC, under the UFC banner, and then the 1 or 2 other that I did in the house, I'm at the most at the moment I've ever felt, and honestly, I was completely aware and completely in control. The first round, may have not been that much action, and it may have been a very close one in regards to, because nothing really happened. But there's different aspects in the sense that I was getting used to his range because he had 4 inches on me, and I'm just trying to feel everything out.
And he's kicking at distance. But one of the key things a lot of times, if you've got quality kicks, and you do, you got to kick with that kicker, or else you're just giving him that range. You know?
And that was a great equalizer with me in the sense I couldn't touch him with my hands as much as I wanted to, so I just kept kicking. And the thing is, he normally kicks, so I'm doing what he's strong at, and then if we're both okay, but I'm winning the actual exchange, what does he has next?
Exactly.
And in regards to
now
the takedowns,
he's forced to close the distance, which is what you were hoping anyway.
Closing the distance is a good time for me. I'm the better wrestler in that sense, and I'm just excited in the sense for me that this is only my 3rd fight, and I've only been professional for 3 years, and the idea that how comfortable I'm feeling with it, and it just shows that to me that it, not to get like I said I'm an atheist, but I'm more of a superstitious atheist in the sense that I'm no certitude. I don't know anything. So for me, it's just kind of like where the universe kind of works out in the sense that I'm more and more realizing that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. In the sense that how good it feels, how the buildup feels okay, how I'm okay with everything, and it's just kind of like stars are kind of are aligning because of all the hard work.
Well, that doesn't go against the concept of being an atheist, because the concept of being an atheist is that you need evidence for things. Evidence. The reason you may not, if you are ever going to, have any religious affiliation is because there's no real evidence for you that you've ever seen of the existence of any kind of higher power. You have evidence that this is what you should be doing. You have evidence of that 12 times over and over. You have evidence of that every time you're in the gym. You have evidence, and that is where confidence comes from. Confidence comes from the reinforcing that every time you've been in this situation, it's worked out well for you.
It's worked out well.
Which is when I was talking about, like we said earlier, maybe we'll end up back where we started. The only time I would ever be worried about you is if you didn't get to, and not that anyone needs to, you don't ever want to put yourself in a situation where you have to have X, Y, and Z or else you're not going to be good. But you have to be able to do everything you've done all the time now, and maybe a little bit more. And that's why, like I said, when I talk to those guys, I'm like, if you take a break at any time, you want to be in such good shape before you start that training camp, because you are in better shape than every single person that you spar with, train with, everything, and better mental shape. But I think I have a feeling that one is pretty much, it's going to be hard to shake. That it's going to be hard to undermine your confidence.
You know what? The next big battle for me, I'm really excited to kind of get over with. And I know as a martial artist and just as an athlete what I got to do in regards to how it all relates. I'm not afraid to fight. I'm not afraid to go in the cage and fight someone, not afraid at all. I just got to make sure I'm not afraid to fight people I've seen on TV. Not that those false heroes, those people that, what's it called? I don't know, the Weidmans, the
Rockholds,
the Rockholds, the this and that,
the
Motomoshita. I've seen them. I'm looking up to be them.
And you enjoyed watching them.
Yeah, and I still do.
Great.
And I still do. So it's just I got to realize that the idea that there is a blueprint to beat them, and that's the next step. And honestly, for me, like people, again, the post-fight, they ask questions. Everyone just asks questions.
Who do you want next?
Exactly.
Typical.
Honestly, I want increments. I want increments. I don't want to just rush to the title because I'm 26. The median age in my weight class is 31. There's no rush. I want to have a 5-10 year career. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to go for the long term, and I want to be ready for the challenges. Every single person I've fought is just a little bit harder than the last guy.
That's
and that's what I want to do.
That's ideal. And it's smart. I mean, if you were 33 years old, it would be like, look, man, we got a win run right now because that pay-per-view money, that $1.5 million pay-per-view money, you might only get it once. Better do it now. But I mean, Ryan LaFleur is main eventing down in Brazil against Damian Maia, and he's 31. Now, he has about the same amount of fights as you, but he's been at it a lot longer, and this is the perfect time for him. He's 31 years old. Damian Maia's, I mean, the ratings are all made up by tomato can journalists, but let's say Damian Maia's 9 or 10 in the rankings. He can go beat that guy and be in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do that 3 years from now.
Yeah. And again, it's the idea that I enjoy the idea of not being one person. I only have one hat today, but I want to put my hands in many different hats, and just the idea that I just want to try different things, and I love martial arts, and I never want to be forced to do just that, and I want to grow. So there's many different things I want to do. Just finding myself. I'm 26 years old. There's no rush. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's how I look at the way I fight, and that's how I look at my career, and the idea that I'm all about the journey and the ride's been amazing so far.
Want to get some beers?
Yeah.
I think this was the first Black Eye podcast. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I got to hang out with my friend, and I hope you guys liked it. Cheers. Thank you.